Hey guys, it's Caleb from KCNE Studios, and today we're going to be continuing our Godzilla backwards reviews, and we are on Godzilla Raids Again. I'll go through the story and then we'll go through the pros and cons like I always do. And yes, we're very close to finishing this series, and I've had a fun time with it. But let's talk about the story. So, starts off with the two main characters. One is Kobayashi, and then another one, forgot his name. Starts with a T or something like that. Um, but they're in their little planes, and they're looking for fish. And then one of them, Kobayashi, I think, I'm pretty sure it was Kobayashi. He crashes onto an island, and then the other main character, he goes to get him, but when he finds him, basically there's this like kind of like a cliff, and the shore's at the bottom of the cliff, and at the top, um, Godzilla and Anguirus are fighting, and so basically those are the two monsters of the movie, Godzilla and Anguirus, and I actually kind of did like how they introduced them in that way. So then they go back. They go back to Japan to get questioned, and they say, "This is Godzilla, and this is Anguirus. Anguirus is an ankylosaurus. He's very vicious, blah blah blah." And then Godzilla, he's destroyed Tokyo before, and he's also very vicious, I guess. And so then later, Godzilla comes and starts destroying the Osaka area, and then Anguirus comes, and so then they fight, and they have a really weird fight. They're like, I know this is the very first, like Godzilla fight scene, but they're like, they didn't. It looks like they didn't like sorry, choreographize. It looks like they didn't choreograph it like very well. I mean, they're just kind of like going in and like wrestling each other and like they sped it up, which is horrible. It's like what they did in Mothra vs. Godzilla. I'm sorry, but like when they speed up monster fights, it makes it worse. If anything, they should slow it down just a tad, if you know what I mean. But yeah, didn't really like the fight scene. Godzilla ended up killing Anguirus by like biting him in the neck and then like pushing him into a cliff. Now, even though it was kind of a weird fight scene, I kind of liked it just a little bit because I don't know, I just felt like it seemed like animal movements kind of. I don't know. I did like it a little bit. I like the model scenes a lot around them, the setting, Osaka. I liked it. So it's not the worst Godzilla fight scene ever. There's plenty of other really bad ones. This is not one of the worst ones, I guess. I mean, it's not that bad. I mean, because at least it's got a good scenery around it. But anyways, Godzilla kills Anguirus, and then later, one of the main characters, after like a lot of like romance stuff and just a bunch of random crap that they totally should have just left out of this movie. The one of the main guys, he's looking for Godzilla because he's been told to do that in his fish looking for plane. I guess that's what we would call it. Fish spotting plane. He's flying around and he's looking for Godzilla. He ends up finding him, and he's heading towards this little island, and where that island is, the military ends up coming and shooting like the edge of the mountains, and it creates an avalanche, and it ends up burying Godzilla, and that's the end of the movie. So, really, it's a really very, very simple story. But let's go into the pros and cons. So, cons. So it feels more like a generic 50s monster movie, other than a dark, evil Godzilla movie like it should have been, like 1954 was. It didn't have anywhere near the same effect as 1954 did. Uh, the monster fight scene, yeah, like after the monster fight, it kind of turns into more of just a romance kind of deal. If you put aside where Godzilla ends up on the island, it's just like romance and blah blah. There's a random prisoner break as Godzilla is fighting Angus, and I just thought it was totally random and had nothing to do with the story. Um, but it is somewhat realistic. I mean, like like I guess it's supporting and like symbolizing anarchy or something like that. I don't really know, but uh, yeah. So the random prisoner break scene as Godzilla's coming ashore, the romance just took over the dark factor, um, and like which is this movie's main downfall is, it could have been a very well done Godzilla movie if they just um made the fight scenes a little better, okay? Um, and they took out the romance stuff and made it a dark Godzilla movie. Maybe added in some better music, but uh, I think they should just stuck with the darkness instead of romance because the romance I feel like it took over the dark factor of the movie, which I think it kind of ruined it honestly. Um, The fight scene was meh. It was, sped up, like I said. So, anyways, let's get to the pros. The monsters. You got Godzilla. He's kind of got the same roar. This one, it's kind of more like grunts and things like that. I mean, he doesn't roar that much in the movie. And then Anguirus, whose is, it's your generic Showa Anguirus roar, pretty much, just muffled a little bit. But I will say this: if you're watching I watched the Japanese version. I watched Godzilla Raids Again. The American version is called Gigantus the Fire Monster, and I kid you not, Godzilla's roar is the same exact roar as Anguirus's. So when I was watching it, it was the first time I'd seen it in the Japanese version, and this is one of the pros. I definitely recommend watching the uh, the Japanese version over the American version because, for one, Godzilla's roar was Anguirus's roar. It's like, what the heck? They also call Godzilla Gigantus. Um, and then there's a very weird intro at the beginning of the American one. It was kind of creepy. It was an okay intro. You know how I am about intros. I love intros, but this one was in the American version at least. And then yeah, I think like it was just weird. Like what they did in the American version. I highly recommend watching the Japanese version. Um, Japanese version is better. That's a pro. Uh, so yeah, the music is okay. I mean, really, there were only like two or three, like main themes to this movie, which was the da 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 da, which is kind of a generic, like 50s monster movie thing, and then there was this, which was really weird and not like, I mean, I was just like, okay, that's interesting music. Yeah, there's a good amount of destruction in this movie, mainly during Godzilla and Anguirus' fight scene, which they totally wrecked. They totally wrecked Osaka. Lots of destruction, which is what I liked. I like how the monsters are introduced on the island at the beginning of the movie. And yeah, the fight scene, it's not the worst, but I think if they had just slowed it down instead of speeding it up, it probably would have been a better fight scene. Um, I also would have liked a more choreographed fight scene, but I guess you can't get everything that you want. So, final thoughts. Um, I was going into this movie expecting this is the third time I've seen it, okay? I got it for Christmas of 2013, and that was the second time I seen it because I had seen it at my old house a couple years, like 3 or 4 years ago, and it was on Netflix, and I was like, ooh, okay, I'll watch it. So I did, and I liked it. Uh, you know, I watched it with my grandpa who loved 1954. He fell asleep through it. The first time I was like, it's okay. I mean, I'm just glad I found another Godzilla movie. The time after that, when I got it for Christmas, I was like, this movie's so awesome. Now I'm like, okay. And then before this, I was watching some other reviews where they just totally, totally hated on this movie. And then so I changed my mind because of that. I was like, yeah, they kind of did that. But now watching it, I'd say it's an okay Godzilla movie. So my final thoughts are that they definitely respected how a Godzilla movie should be made. If you take out the romance, made it more dark, maybe make Godzilla's suit a little better, but that wasn't too big of a deal. I would have liked to hear their roars a little more, but that's just nitpicking. Honestly, there's not too much bad about this movie. It's also just kind of a somewhat of a boring, dull movie, but still, I mean, it's not that bad. I mean, I guess it's in the middle or towards the end. Like kind of the middle. Say this is my top 10 Godzilla movies. This is the favorite. This is the least favorite. It would kind of be like right here, I guess, if you know what I mean. I don't know, just like in the middle towards the end. That's what I mean. So yes, and finally, would this movie be well remade? Yes. If they remade this movie, that would probably be one of the best remakes ever, honestly. I think this movie would be fantastic if it was remade, and you wouldn't have to worry about it being worse than this one, because this one is just, I mean, it's not that great, but I mean, it was okay. If I was to scale it on a 1 to 10, I would give it a 6. I would give it a 6. So, yeah. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.